And so we go rolling down the ramp, and we're throwing fisticuffs at each other. But he pulled the coat. I had this stupid coat I had to wear, pulled it over my head. And you'd come down there after school, like, you'd be like, excuse me.
Yeah. Got my 10 cents. I got my dime.
And they hated you.
What is your record prediction for them?
But here's the problem. I don't want to get the fans mad.
Welcome back to an all-new episode here at Let's Talk Lions. Today we have the privilege, the honor, the joy to have my father on the show. Not the biggest Lions fan.
No.
Not at all. Yeah, so I just had a few questions because obviously...
Well, I got a question before we start.
Wow.
Why am I on this show?
Because why not?
Okay.
It's the off season.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was outside working. I was like, maybe it's the off season.
Yeah, it's the off season, so nothing's really happening. It's really this time of the year. It's kind of the most annoying time of the year, in my opinion, from really drafting on to, I would say, the preseason games, because it's just people making up stuff just to talk, just to
Okay.
for all the clicks and for everything like that. So
Okay.
I figured at that point, might as well have you on and talk some
Fill some space.
football.
So if I do the show, do I get one of those Founders beers?
What are you talking about?
Well, I want one of those Founders beers. That'll be my payment.
If it wasn't, what time is it? 10
Well,
in the morning?
we got to work after this. But,
Yeah, which thank you for doing the garage. You and Mr. B have made this come along, and because of that,
yeah.
we've got a studio,
Nice
which
little
is
studio.
nice. You've been watching, a fan of the show for 4 years now. Really, one of my questions for you is, you've been a fan of football since the 60s?
I would say the 70s. Like I can remember watching the Jets win the Super Bowl. The Joe Namath.
Super Bowl III?
Yeah, Joe Namath Super Bowl.
What year was that?
1969. And then in 70, the Colts beat the Cowboys 16-13. And then the Cowboys beat the Miami Dolphins 24-3. So that was 1972. And then I think the Dolphins ended up winning Super Bowl VII that year. But yeah, so I've been watching football throughout the 70s, but I drifted away. I got busy with the family and all that.
So that's a question I have for you, because a lot of people ask me this. They're like, "Hey, you're from Jersey."
Yeah.
Okay, like, Jay, you're from Jersey. How are you not a Jets or Giants fan?
Yeah.
Explain that to me, because Grandpa, he was a Jets fan.
He was a Jets fan, yeah.
So then how did that not go down to you, which then go down to Bobby
Oh,
and me?
no. I liked the Jets all, through this. I really liked them, but I was really a Cowboys fan. I don't even know that I can
You
remember.
just pissed a lot of people off on the
Yeah,
channel.
I'm sure I did. But those are the good days. They were America's team.
Yeah.
Roger Staubach was the quarterback, and they had just great players, guys like Leroy Jordan, and I think I showed you Bob Hayes, that baseball football card. I don't know. I think I threw it. Maybe. But anyway, they were very exciting, and they were on TV. They were on TV probably more than the Jets and the Giants. They
Which
were
is
on
crazy to me.
every week.
How? So is that how they became America's team, just because the amount of
I don't
games
know. I
they-
guess it was all promotion. They were good.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. When you're good, you have a following. So
That's
you
true.
just look at ticket prices.
Oh, I told you $650
Yeah, well,
for like Section 111. So it's like, yeah, they're all right. They're not great, but I'm like, $650.
do you know that the Jets? I think 2 years ago, the last week of the season, you could get tickets like on one of those sites like StubHub for $6. $6.
That's insane. I mean, they were bad.
They were just trying to fill up the stadium.
$6 and a hot dog, get people out there.
Wow. So that was. So anyway, Joe Namath moved on. I think he went to like L.A., the Rams, I do believe, and he had gotten hurt a bunch of times, and then other quarterbacks came in. They went down the tubes, but we're still rooting for the Jets. And the Giants were terrible too in the early 70s, but then they started to get good at the end of the 70s, and so we also lived right near Giants Stadium. Like when I was a kid, we would take our bikes down there and ride up the mountains of dirt and just go crazy down there.
You
And
worked at the stadium.
I did work at the stadium.
We're gonna need a story because I know there's a good one out there.
No, I'm not telling any stories about.
Come on,
working
you
at
gotta
the
you gotta
stadium.
tell. You got ejected from the stadium.
I got ejected. Yes, I did. Well, I'll try to make it as quick as possible. There was a Monday night football game where the Giants were playing one of your favorite teams, the Pack.
Oh,
The Packers,
love
right?
the Packers.
So I had gotten a job as a like an usher.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who had connections down there. So I needed something to do, some work, and I was in college by then. So it was 1983 or 82 or something, and I get this job, and there's a Monday night football game at Giants Stadium between the Giants and the Packers. So you're kind of watching the game, and it's pretty good. You don't get to see all the players, but you're there, and people asking where the seats are, but you really want to watch the game.
Watching the game, you're getting paid.
And you're getting paid. So there's these two guys at the game, and one worked for the other. So one's an employee, one's the employer.
I didn't know that.
The employer, I think, was a Giant fan, and I think the other guy was a Packer fan. So the lights went out at the stadium. There was a power shortage. Something happened. There was no power. The whole Meadowlands, everything was dark.
Yeah.
And so now these guys started drinking. There was a lot.
What else are you doing?
There was nothing else to do, I guess, and they started drinking.
People don't have phones, so they're not just like goofing around.
No, there were no phones. Yeah. No. There were phone booths like outside, like back in the day. These two guys, one guy starts like taunting the other guy. The employee is taunting the employer.
In the dark, Monday Night Football.
Yeah, there's some auxiliary lights on and everything, but and then there's the moon's giving some, so you could see, no problem. But the players couldn't play. And so now they're trying to get the lights back up in the stadium. The guy's taunting the other guy. And all of a sudden, the guy fires the employee. So I think
fires him at the stadium?
The employer fired the employee. He said, "You're fired," right? Right there at the game. I'm standing right there watching this whole thing. And then fisticuffs began.
I mean, yeah.
But there was nothing else for anybody else to do in the stands. It broke out into like a major 20-on-20 brawl.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about like how the stadiums are built, there's these ramps. Mm-hmm. Like when you come out to a baseball game, you go up that ramp, and then boom, you look. And it's like really cool. So there's this ramp, and I'm standing at the top of the ramp, and this whole group of people starts tumbling down the stands, right? And I think like one of my main jobs is like, to keep the peace and break up the fight, right? But no, that wasn't how it was interpreted by the New Jersey Sports Exposition or whatever it was. So there was this big dude in a denim coat. He had a denim jacket and like long frizzy hair. And I can still remember the guy, his face. Wow. And he comes at me. I'm like...
And you're an usher?
I'm trying to break it up. I'm an usher.
Yeah.
And this guy was big. And so we go rolling down the ramp, and we're throwing fisticuffs at each other. But he pulled the coat. I had this stupid coat I had to wear. Pulled it over my head, and he's punching me in the head, and I'm trying to get the coat off.
Stop.
It was bad. And all these people are duking it out, rolling down the ramp.
Yeah.
And I get down the ramp, the coat's ripped off, my shirt's all messed up, and...
Stop.
Security comes,
Oh, yeah.
like the 30 guys in the yellow coats, the yellow blazers.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, people got brought down to the basement, right? Like if you took a swing at the security guard, they would handcuff you, bring you down, and you get a beat down like in the basement, and then you get thrown out of the stadium.
Like a mafia movie.
Trust me, I know people that were the security guards. So anyway, I got fired. I immediately got fired. I was supposed to just like let it ride, but I didn't.
Which how do you let that ride?
I felt bad for the guy, the little guy who lost his job, and he was getting pummeled, and I just couldn't watch it, and so I ended up in the fight, and
And you got booted.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never even I didn't know about the firing. Can you imagine if you get invited out to a Monday Night Football game, you're excited, you're going with your boss, and then the next thing you know, there's a power outage, the game ends, you get fired, and you get into fisticuffs, probably go to jail.
No. I at least I was an employee, and that was definitely another Weird thing, but
That's a great one.
yeah. So if you're really good, someday I'll tell you the story about when my first job selling. I think I was selling soda at the stadium.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
Well, if you're good and you have me back on the show, maybe I'll tell you. But
See, that's smart. What you just did, you set yourself up. You said, you invite me back.
Thank you. Well, let me just see if I got soda here. Get your soda.
Wow, there it is. You still got it.
I still got it. Go back. Yeah.
You had to call that out. You really? Well.
Yeah, you had to call it out. So.
Well, you were mentioning just growing, because I guess I've been asked so many times. Like for me, I didn't even know that there was an interest in the Jets for you. Like you had a Jets hat. Yeah. You had some Jets gear.
Yeah.
But what I experienced was every Sunday you had the game on. You had it on the TV. You had it on in the garage and the audio. You throw the game on. Hey, throw the game on. So, like, there's the game, but you would always walk through the room and just kind of make fun of them. And so, like, I kind of had this attitude of, like, yeah, screw the Jets, like, forget them. Plus, I hated, like, me and some of my friends at school, we always had the attitude of, well, they play in Jersey.
Yeah, which is weird.
Which is weird, but they go by the New York Jets. So there was kind of like this, like, how dare you? Feeling like, are you kidding me? You play in our state and you're not called the Jersey Jets? It's got a great ring. The Jersey Jets? Jersey Giants?
Yeah, it's the same thing. But I went to the last Jets game at Shea Stadium. Now, the Jets played where the Mets played, at Shea Stadium. And I would never say it was a great baseball stadium, but it was not a good football stadium. Because when you try to take a baseball stadium and make a football stadium, sometimes it's bad.
Well, yeah, the seating, it's all screwed
up. Yeah. And, they're playing, running over, like, the pitcher's mound or second base is in the end zone. It's, like, weird.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
But I remember going to that last game. I think it was against the Dolphins. And I got to tell you, when they built Giant Stadium was a great place to watch a game. And it's a shame they ripped it down. I have no idea why they did that. But that was a great place to watch a game.
Interesting. Huh. Because I remember the first game we went to, the first football game I went to was Jets-Dolphins.
Yeah.
You, me, Bobby, and I think, was it Mike? Who was there?
Yeah.
And I remember that experience. I was just kind of like taking it all in. It was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that was modern football, too, like where, the players came out and the explosion of fireworks. Oh,
awesome.
I got to tell you? My brother sent me this a picture. It's a famous picture. And it was the coin toss, and I think the Raiders, it was like Super Bowl II. I think it was there were three. I think the Raiders were playing the Chiefs. These guys go out to the middle of the field. You know how now there's like 200 people around.
Oh, you got four captains.
If you can look it up, you might be able to look
it
up.
I think you've shown me the photo.
Okay.
Of the coin toss?
Yeah. There's like 4 people out there. Two refs, 2 players, maybe, maybe a photographer or something. And things have really changed. So anyway, going to the Jet game, that was like modern with the guys coming out and the fireworks going.
It was fun. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. I liked it more than, like, we went to a couple Yanks games, and those were interesting.
Yeah.
But, like, there was something about the football game where it just had a different type of energy. But I guess one of my questions for you is, here you are. You've been watching football since the late 60s, early 70s, since you can remember Super Bowl III with the jet skis. What's it like watching the Lions become what they are?
Oh, it's nice.
It's nice?
No, I really like watching. I like watching a team become great. That's fun.
Yeah.
But I can tell you want me to go back to the 70s?
Sure.
With the Lions?
Yeah.
Okay.
For all of the older listeners out there.
Yeah.
Because I know I got a few that are always like, hey, I've been fan for 60 years, fan for 50 years.
Yeah.
So give it to them.
So, and I got some other little surprises for some old timers. Okay,
but hype some people
out. Picture is the 70s, and it's Thanksgiving. You got off from school. You're all pumped because you got a few days off, and maybe go to the local high school Thanksgiving Day game, and you come home, and it's about 12 noon, right, from that football game.
Thanksgiving Day,
yeah. So at 12:30, the football game came on. And I can remember being a kid because at that time, the Pittsburgh Steelers were a great team. The Minnesota Vikings were great in
Yeah, they
those
went to
years.
a couple Super
They
Bowls,
went
right?
to 4. They lost 4 Super Bowls.
Wow.
I think it's 4. So I think them and Buffalo tied for that
Sweet record.
tough record. But anyway, all of a sudden the football game would go on, and it was the Lions every year.
Nobody else wanted to play, though. So Detroit took it.
Yeah, but I think they signed some type of agreement into perpetuity
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So that was a smart move. But
Great move.
like you would look and you'd be like, why can't they have a good game on?
What do you mean? Why would you say that?
Like, the picture the Steelers could be playing.
Yeah.
The Broncos were good at the time, and different teams
But you're watching
came and
a
went
dead team.
every Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it just became kind of like background noise, and you were really hoping the meal would be served before 3:30 because that's when the Cowboys came up.
Okay.
And so the Cowboys would play like the Redskins, or they would play different teams on Thanksgiving. There was no 8 o'clock game,
Yeah.
but I remember being a kid. I remember being like 11, 12 years old. And I'm like, why is this team on? And it's every year.
Yeah.
They'd be playing from Pontiac Stadium.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the only good years I can really remember is when Barry Sanders came.
Yeah, that's
and
the 90s,
he
though.
electrified. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a long
That's a long
slog,
time.
A long slog.
You waited
of
30 years for that.
tough Thanksgivings, And so you try to get some of the stuff out of the way, whether it was, seeing your aunts and uncles or whatever. And
Try to get it out of the
get
way.
it out of the way,
Hey,
yeah.
how's it going? You know
But-
what's nice though? Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like background music, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're just throwing on a record,
yeah.
CD, you let it play, you look over. Oh,
Yeah, once in a while there'd be a good play or
Yeah.
something, but and a lot of time was Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
would
it is.
Play 'em.
Chicago. It's a lot of divisional. Like last year was Chicago. This year is Green Bay. I think we have Green Bay.
See,
on Thanksgiving.
at least now they're a good team, and Green Bay is probably going to be good. And
Yeah,
it'll
well,
be
they are.
an important game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the game might have some value. So you're psyched to watch a good team, but
Yeah.
the NFL should have been putting on good games at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, but you're right. The Lions made that move. They signed some sort of deal because
Yeah.
nobody else wanted
Yes.
to play.
Yeah.
So they take it. Then the Cowboys were like, well, shoot, we'll take it. They take that next slot, and now they have that, the
America's
late night.
team and and then they obviously had some I think lean years in the 80s, and then Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman and all
Yeah.
those guys came in the 90s, and they were great again, and so they were always a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of the
Yeah.
background.
No.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, go ahead. What do you got?
No, I was going to show you that book that I
Yeah,
told
pull it out.
you
Pull it out.
that-
Let's get some of the
hold on.
older fans
Yeah,
excited
I
here.
got to show.
Because it's from here. I'll take the
I got to show you this.
ball signed by Gaff.
Okay. Oh, is it?
Yeah, Jared Goff.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So anyway, for your listeners, take you back to 1972. I was telling you about this book. Now,
Take me back to the 70s. I wasn't
okay,
around.
There
But
were 2 books. Now, Sunoco gas station, put out these 2 books. Now, where's the camera?
yeah, there's one here you can show it to. You can show it to the slider. That one will see
There you
it.
go. All right. So these 2 books are stamp books, and you would go down to the Sunoco station, and I don't know what it was, 10 cents or 20 cents. You'd get like a book of 30 stamps. I don't even know. Can't remember. So the Sunoco station near us was right down the hill. So originally I got this book, right? And I was like, I want the deluxe book. So this is the deluxe book. This is much nicer. It's got all kinds of pictures. So you would go down to the Sunoco station, and there were 2 guys down there that owned the station, Gary and Ray. Now,
Great Sunoco workers' names.
and they were
Gary
they
and
were
Ray.
hardcore. Like one guy was like a World War II veteran. The other guy was maybe a Korean War veteran. They're both in the service, and you'd walk in and they'd have like a smoke like hanging out of their mouth,
Yeah.
and they'd be going through. They had all these binders, and they were ordering parts to fix cars. It wasn't
Sure.
the whole computer thing. So
So
anyway,
they loved when you came in.
no, they hated kids.
Yeah, sure they did.
So they would be under the car.
Yeah.
Like they might be under a muscle car, fixing a muscle car. And you know what a creeper is? It's that dolly that you slide under.
It's
the
kind of like a
car.
skateboard. But
Yeah. But there was more room in those days under the cars, and so they'd be like under the car working on something, cursing, banging their hands on something, and you'd come down after school, like you'd be like, "Excuse me."
Got my 10 cents. I got my dime.
And they hated you. And they were like, "What do you want, kid?" And you'd be like, "There's a book of stamps."
Oh, they must have hated you guys.
And not only, it wasn't just me. There'd be like a line of 10 more kids. And it would ruin their day. They couldn't make any money on the brake job.
Yeah, and you're not making enough money off the stamps. You guys are their customers.
So here's the Detroit Lions for your older fans. Show you the show it over here.
Yeah.
So I don't even recognize one guy on the team.
Okay.
I can't remember any of these guys.
Name some of them, because you got offense, defense.
Okay, well,
because you would collect.
I
these
remember
stamps.
this guy. These would come in the book, and then you took the stamps and put them in
just
here.
paste them on
But
there?
I got every team. I filled up every one. I can't believe it, and my brother did too. So we were down at that Sunoco station a lot. So anyway,
rummaging around grandma's pocketbook, being like,
No.
Yeah, she would have killed you.
No, there's no way. So right here, the quarterback is Greg Landry. Now,
Okay.
do you ever
No,
hear of Greg Landry?
no.
Okay.
I looked through this. I don't know a single guy.
Yeah. So
Quarterback was Greg Landry. Who was the running back?
the tailback must have been this guy Steve Owens, number 36. And then it was a guy, Charlie Sanders. He's got number 88, so he must have been a tight end. And, I don't know any about these down. Oh, there's a guy named Jim Yarborough. You might have heard of him. He was a offensive lineman.
Because this was 1971 into the 72 season, correct? Because
Correct.
this is going
Yes.
into the 72. Were the
Yes.
Lions any good in 72?
No.
Didn't think so.
Maybe a listener might say they were 500. I don't know. But, Green Bay had fallen by then. Here, this is when the Oilers were in Houston. Wow. They were in Houston.
Wow. I loved those uniforms. They looked
Yeah,
good.
yeah, they were cool uniforms.
And I'm pretty sure that they still wear them once a year.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's kind of a
Look at the Rams. They were in the white and blue.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling you just the other day, I hate their new jerseys. They look terrible.
Yeah.
They look
Oh,
awful.
some of the uniforms are terrible. I don't know.
Ugh.
Here's the Minnesota Vikings. They were good. They were in four Super Bowls. But anyway, so that's the story of Gary and Ray and the stamp book. So maybe some of your, I'd like to know if anybody listening.
Did anybody else collect these? If you did, please drop it in the comments. Let us know. And did you fill up the deluxe book?
The whole book.
That's a feat.
Yes.
Do you remember when quarters came out and they had the 50 states on them? I don't know if we ever even filled those up.
No, probably not.
And now they're in such circulation, so it is kind of crazy that you even had the opportunity to fill it all up.
I'm glad Mom found this book. I couldn't find it anywhere. Mom went up in the attic and she was like, "I think you got a Tupperware full of stuff up there."
Classic addict.
So she did, and so anyway, that's that.
I like it. No, that's awesome. I think looking through the bills, the only guy I knew was OJ.
Yeah.
Obviously, because OJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's crazy to see where football has gone, and it's funny because growing up, I remember when I was probably in the 4th grade, I really wanted to play, but I had the issues with my head.
Yeah.
And I remember Mom being like, "You could play in high school, or we'll talk about it in high school." And I was like, and I remember being in the 4th grade. I'm like, by the time high school comes around, I'm gonna be so far behind.
Yeah.
There's no plan.
Yeah, it's not 1961.
No,
where,
but
just show up on that.
I remember when I was a junior in high school, I would watch. I was like, I give football players so much credit. It looked miserable. It's August. It's hot. It's gonna be 95 out today.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that type of weather, putting on the pads. I give football
Double
players.
sessions.
Well, and what's crazy is I think a lot of people look at football as the meathead sport.
Yeah.
And you get meatheads.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's such a cerebral aspect to what is football. And I feel like the way the game is going and where it's going, you're just having to become smarter and smarter, whether as a DB, a linebacker, defensively. But I think one of the hardest things is, and I don't know how do you feel about the way the rules are going, that is just pushing this to an offense-only game?
Well, that's what they want. They want scoring. And, the worst thing is when the quarterback just whips the ball down the field and the receiver stops and the cornerback or wherever runs into him. What do they call that?
Pass interference?
No, it's not pass interference. It's like a play or a technique that they call this. It's devised. The quarterback just whips the ball down the field.
Oh, I don't know if there is a name for it, but yeah, absolutely.
And there's interference, pass interference.
And then the ball goes
the ball all the way down there. They should get 10 yards. That's
10 yards, that's it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That really can ruin a whole game. It can ruin a whole season.
Absolutely. It's the fourth quarter. There's 30 seconds left. Some guys are like, okay, well, let's just gun it.
Yeah.
And then boom, there's PI. That's it. And then they kick the field goal. Game over.
Yeah.
It drives me.
I hate that.
It should be a 10-yard penalty, first down. That's fine.
Hey, what's happening with the kickoff this year?
I don't know. It was so dumb.
That was terrible.
And they called it dynamic. It was nothing dynamic. And the worst part is, you can't even fake and get an onside kick anymore.
No, that ruins the whole thing.
It ruins the whole thing because if you can just do that quick squib, it can change the moment. But to have to be like, all right, everybody, we're doing it onside.
Yeah.
It was the dumbest thing. I don't know if they've changed it. I haven't seen it.
I hope so. And they should fire the person who came up with the idea. Give him the boot.
Get rid of him. Yeah, no. Dynamic kickoff was dumb. No onside kick.
Yeah, so back to the intelligence level, these guys are really smart.
It's unbelievable.
Really smart. And picture you're playing, strong safety or cornerback, whatever you're playing, and you interpret incorrectly, like the strong side, you're covering the second man in or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you screw it up. Boom, you're like the GOAT.
Oh, yeah.
The ball gets to him, quick TD, and, there's like, everybody's so smart, the quarterback's so smart, he sees in a second that guy's in the wrong spot or he's covering the wrong guy, man-to-man, and boom, it's a touchdown. And, a few of those in a big game, 2 of those, and the fans are ready to run you out of town on
Absolutely.
the rail.
I look at the schedule. I look at where the Lions are. I look at everything that we've got coming in this year, and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tight. But I like what you just said about the evaluation, like
a sober judgment.
A sober judgment of the game that took place, a sober judgment of the players. Because so often, the moment a game ends, people, and like because of Twitter, because of these stupid social media platforms that are like now, people are reacting in the moment, setting off stupidity, really.
Yeah, and then saying stupid things that they can't retract, which is another bad thing.
Absolutely. You've said it, you've put it out there, and that's why, like, I do really try to think about what I'm saying before putting it out there, because I'm like, man, if I'm saying wild stuff, I have my opinions, and I'm going to stick by them. Yeah. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I mean, like,
and then you got to admit you're wrong.
You got to admit that your take was incorrect. But that's a problem. People don't want to ever admit that they're incorrect.
Hey, can I ask a question? When you say like the Lions or the Tigers or whatever you're talking about,
Tigers are doing good
Lions,
right now.
Tigers and Bears.
Oh,
do you say Detroit or Detroit?
Detroit.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I've heard people say Detroit.
Okay, because I say Detroit. And I guess I got it from my dad. That's what he always said.
Well, it's funny because when I first moved here, I said Detroit because of you. And Andrea was like, no, that is not how you say it. So, like, I was like, oh, okay. Like,
I got a goof on her anyway. Later on, I'm going to say Detroit.
Well, every time you say it, like, she'll be like, oh, like, she might not respond, but she's thinking, what are you talking about?
That's funny. Funny. Oh, so anyway. Speaking of the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Good times, right?
Great time. It is the best team of baseball.
So your buddy Tom's like, he's real happy.
Tom, I know you're watching. I'm proud. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of the boys. Yeah, Tom has to be in heaven. Last time I talked to him, we were talking about it, and he was just like, I can't wait for September, October. Right?
That's a long way away.
Yeah, but you get the Lions are going to be rolling. You get the Tigers going into postseason, which hopefully, because it's before the All-Star break. So don't put the cart before the horse.
Many teams have lost. They could be down 14. I think the Yankees in 1978, and the Yankees were loaded. I think they were down 14 games at one time. I could be wrong, but I think it was 14. And they ended up, for your older listeners, played in this one-game playoff against the Boston Red Sox. It was like,
what year was this?
It was like 78. Yankees were loaded, Reggie Jackson was on the team. Ron Guidry was one of the pitchers. I think he won 25 games that year. They had a great team. Great team. Thurman Munson hadn't gotten killed in the plane crash yet. And they played this one-game playoff against Boston Red Sox. And I think the game went to like the 10th inning or something. And the Yankees won the game. And then they ended up playing the Kansas City Royals in the playoffs. They go to the World Series, and they beat the Dodgers, I think.
No way.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know how I even got there. But
it's just coming back. It's coming back from the dead, right?
It's come back from down 14 games.
That's
this
huge.
This has happened before. So, not to put the whammy on it.
Sure, no,
I
yeah.
could put the whammy on the Tigers
don't
here.
do,
and
well,
people
don't do
would
that.
be
Why would
hating
you
me.
do, don't do that. People say never let them back on the show.
So anyway, I got it. Can I show you some more little
what do you
things?
got?
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to show you some things here. Now, I don't know how to show you these things where the listeners can see
If
them,
you
but-
kind of hold it up in between
which
you and the
camera?
microphone to this guy, that one should take
okay.
care of it.
So here.
What do you got?
Here's Bob Hayes, Dallas Cowboy. This guy was an Olympic athlete. I think he won the Olympics.
Yeah, you said in the 60s?
64. Okay.
He was a cowboy.
Well, he was a cowboy.
Yeah, 1964 Olympics. Check
Okay.
that out.
So here's the quiz question for
Wow,
any old
that's a well-loved card.
Okay, you see this? See this guy?
Andy Messersmith.
Andy Messersmith. I think he was the first free agent in baseball. I think he was the first free agent in 1975.
Which
This
is
used-
city that there
this used to
wasn't
come in the
free
cards
agency.
with a piece of gum. Yeah, there was no free agency. That's a whole different discussion. The reserve clause. That's really interesting in the history of baseball.
Because was there free agency in football?
No.
I wonder when that...
You know what? I remember so much more about baseball than I do about football.
Sure. But I mean, you said you watched...
Oh, yeah. In the 70s, there was no cable TV, right? So we lived in the New York metro area. The Mets and the Yankees were the two teams.
That's it.
And there were only 6 channels on TV, right? So every night, there was one of those teams was on. And so it was like 81 games, plus some other appearances they might be on. Wow. Monday Night Baseball was a big deal. Monday Night Baseball, like for the old-timers watching. You got to see some other teams, you know. You didn't just see your team play. It might be 2 other teams.
What is it, do you think, that allowed football to surpass baseball?
The excitement of football. Football really is marketed and very exciting, and it is obviously more violent and everything, but it's definitely more exciting. And baseball kind of slid into the doldrums of, I guess, some type of boredom, or it wasn't as exciting for your generation.
No, which is crazy because I watched a lot of games growing up.
Yeah.
Because you always had them on. Me and Bobby would always throw them on. But I think there's something specific about 17 games versus 162.
Correct.
Right? Because
Correct.
if I can have a show where I'm sitting here and we're like, okay, Green Bay's coming up, and you have 6 days of excitement for that 7th day.
Yeah.
And then you have 6 days where you're just focused on this team, what's going to happen, okay, and you're dialing in versus, all right, we're playing the Sox for the 4th series now in 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
There's this, the what you call it, doldrum, just like...
Yeah, you're in the doldrums.
it's just kind of like this humdrum of a game after game.
And
after game.
baseball's slow.
And it's slow.
moving.
They've sped
and,
it up.
You know, for you, which is a good thing. But for your generation, you guys aren't used to sitting there and, like you just sat there watching the TV and the commercials would come on. It'd be like 3 commercials, and you just had to kind of sit there, and if you wanted to change the channel, you had to stand up, go to the TV,
and you got 5 other
turn the
channels.
dial. You got 5. And then when you came back, maybe the reception wasn't good because you had those rabbit ears, and you might not have good reception.
Oh, man, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. So anyway, I have some cards here, and I just wanted you to look at the bodies of these guys. They're pro football players. Now, I don't know where. See this guy? He's a Bengal. His name is, I can't see it, something Willis. Okay. He's like a skinny guy. This is like a lineman. This is like a lineman. They have like these natural builds, and I compare them to the guys today.
Oh, yeah, what'd you call them?
Androids. They're like androids. Now here, look, Mel Farr. He's a lion. I don't know if any of the old timers
see that guy.
recognize him. Oh, Lem Barney. Here's another guy. But they just look very athletic.
Just looks like a normal dude. This guy looks like a mechanic.
He could be a carpenter, too.
Yeah.
Like, this guy was a big guy.
Lem Barney.
Jim Otto from the Raiders, right? See Jim Otto right here?
Oh, wow. Well, he looks like bigger.
He looks like a big, strong guy.
This guy looks mean.
He was mean.
He looks mean. He looks like a Raider is what he looks like.
So anyway, here's one for the fans. Oh, and I got a few tickets. I got to show you the tickets because this is going to blow.
Pretty crazy.
This is going to blow you out, blow your listen. Here's Reggie Jackson. Now this card here is actually the back of the normal card for that year, and I don't even know where I got these things.
I think it's huge.
And I think he changed his number. I can't remember, but there's Reggie Jackson, very young. So that's like 1970.
I didn't know Reggie Jackson ever played for the
71.
A's.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He won 3 World Series on that team.
I thought he was always a Yank.
No. And the A's were loaded. They won it in 72, 3, and 4.
Wow.
Then came the Big Red Machine. Ticket price, great seats. Second row, back on the 40-yard line.
Those are great seats.
So in your mind process, you're going to tell me
okay,
how much it costs to go see the Lions.
I would guess one ticket would be $1,000.
No way.
We can go look at
$9.
it.
$9, right? $9 to great seats. $9. So that's where we've.
I don't think you understand. Lions tickets are the most expensive in the NFL because we're finally good, and they can capitalize, and they're like, people are going to spend everything they got to come see him. Not me, but if you have tickets that you're willing to give away for, lower prices, hit me up.
No, how much is a ticket way up in the nosebleeds?
Nosebleeds, I would guess probably like 200, 250. Yeah.
It's a good time to be an usher.
Unless you're getting,
getting beat up.
Getting beat up and thrown out. Getting fired. My last question for you is, looking at the Lions this year.
Okay.
What is your record prediction for them?
But here's the problem. I don't want to get the fans mad.
Listen, they're going to be mad no matter what. At the end of this video, somebody's always mad with me.
Okay.
So who cares? Who cares? And I could probably name a few of these.
Now, here's the thing. I think they're going to be...
We were 15-2 last year.
Wild card team.
So no division win.
At best. I think they're going to be 9-8 or 10-7. Now that I got to get a little range. I would drift more to the 10-7, but things could go bad early, and an injury or two could be bad. So
you think? Would you say the floor is 9 wins? Like we're not going less than 9 wins.
Correct.
Okay. So
I think that or
9-8,
up to
10-7.
Like 10-7.
That's not a lot of wiggle room.
No. I think it could be the last game of the season.
That is it. That is it for today. Thank you for hanging out on a new episode of Let's Talk Lions. This is my father. This is me.
Let's get to work.
All right, let's do it. All right, that's it.